Hey everybody, I hope that you're all doing well. What I'm seeing be a theme right now within the energy, it feels like doing something and seeing that it's working, seeing that it's going well, but then it's still taking energy. And the way that I can describe this is kind of like if you have to train for something difficult, it feels like the training is paying off. Like, let's say that you're like training for a marathon or something. Like, it requires so much effort and so much energy and so much training in order to prepare. So that's where like the heaviness is coming from. But at the same time, you can see that you're getting good results because of it. It can just be something that feels kind of like labor intensive or energetically intensive in some way, but at the same time it feels like it's paying off, it's going successfully. So maybe it's just a process that it really does require a lot of energy and endurance and wherewithal on your part, but at the same time it's like it's paying off, so isn't it worth it? We're starting off with Page of Swords, and we also have Six of Pentacles. So you're in the process of figuring something out here. I don't see this being an overnight process. This means that you can still be figuring out what you're looking for. You can still be figuring out what works for you. And if you have a certain situation that you're looking at, you can be wanting to learn whether or not you're going to feel like happy more like long term with that. Meaning, I feel like relationships are always an easy example to use for this sort of energy. Maybe there's somebody that you're connecting with. You can be in the process of like learning about them and figuring things out and seeing like how compatible you guys are with one another. Having Temperance there means that it takes some time to figure these things out. So it's like through experiences and through conversations you can be finding out. Now, it doesn't have to be another person. It can be something like maybe you're doing job searching and you're trying to find one where it's like you're getting paid enough and you also like what you're doing, just to make sure that you get the balance right. This is going to be like, how sustainable actually is this? This is what you're in the process of figuring out. And you can be learning more about what's important to you and what your values are at the end of the day. If you're to get involved in a situation more long term, you're figuring out like the terms that would need to be kind of activated in order for you to feel like that works for you and is sustainable. And there can be this feeling of like, until I know that, I don't want to say yes to it, or I don't want to sign on, or I don't want to commit. I'm getting Coco coming through here. You don't need to be in a rush to sign a contract or to commit to this, because you're really finding out what's going to be worth it to you. Now, I don't know if you like actually have a situation in front of you or you're just kind of on the lookout. It can like really work either way. What I am seeing is that when you commit to something, you are very committed. Even if it's an energetic spiritual contract, it's going to be the same thing, whether it's like written, whether it's energetic spiritual. I'm seeing that when you get involved with something, you're like on board 110%. And so it feels like it's very important that you just check things out properly before you be signing on for it, because you want to make sure that you feel happy, because I'm seeing you get very invested in things when you get involved with them. And so you just want to make sure, like, it's more important to check first that this is going to be a situation you feel happy with and then commit to it, versus like committing and like buying all of the gear and like making all of the investments and then you feel like, I don't know if this is actually working. And so it feels like it's important for you to like take the proper steps. But seeing Hierophant come out, you may immediately like to kind of have things more set in stone. Like, you may be more traditional with the way that you approach things and want stuff to be like more official. You know, like the Hierophant energy can be like, if we see something that we may possibly value, we kind of want to like stamp our name on it, you know. And but having Temperance there can be like, this suggestion of don't be in a rush to do that, because you're still finding things out and you need to get more information, you need to have more experiences before you know. But then once you know, then you'll know, essentially. Like when you know, that's going to be the feeling of this. But I'm definitely seeing something where it's like, find out the information first, make sure that you do your research first, and then if you think that it's a good investment, then you sign on for it. But there's something here about not just doing it immediately. You need to find stuff out. And I feel like the only reason why your guides are communicating it in this way is because you may be one to sign on first and then kind of find out later, and that is not the way that it's being suggested for you to move through this. But there may be a part of you that feels kind of uncomfortable, where it's like, are we locked in or not? So I feel like that's why this is coming up, because your guides are saying like it may be a little bit outside of your comfort zone to do things in this way. Because, you know, this can bring up your own like possessiveness and like wanting things to be set in stone and whatnot. But having temperance next to it is like needing to work with that part of yourself that's trying to like lock things down immediately before you even understand the parameters of what they are. Because this is also about making sure that you're also being valued for what it is that you show up with and provide. Because having you come out as a Hierophant, it shows like you will show up 110%. And so you just want to make sure too that that is not going to be like taken for granted, or that you want to make sure that it's going to be received well, and that you're also getting what you need from it. It's really important, because I'm not seeing, you don't have a problem when it comes to giving. You don't have a problem when it comes to showing up. This is to make sure that this like also works for you and isn't just working for the other side. Again, like whether this be like a job that you're showing up for, like another person, this is making sure that however it is that you're being like compensated, which is important, it's not selfish. Compensation means something is sustainable if it is compatible with what you need. So it's really important to be checking that out, because that is part of the when we evolve as investors of things, this is an energy that we need to be sure of. Otherwise, we are going to have these very short-term or dysfunctional things that we're getting involved with, and then we can't really build with that, and it's not really stable, which is actually the opposite of what we want. So it's really important that you're checking something out and making sure that it's a good investment before you are 100% committed to this. I wonder if you're gonna like hold things back a little bit, like not put everything out on the table immediately just while you're spending time figuring this out. We have Sagittarius, Taurus, and Capricorn. Interesting. I see something that feels like there may be something going on surface level that could possibly encourage you. It's like you're just seeing a little sliver of the bigger picture and wanting to like judge the entire thing off of that, and it feels like not a good idea. It feels like there's still more that needs to be looked at, because I'm seeing there be this seeing things surface level, but that is not going to be, it's like if you're just skimming the surface and trying to assess whether something is going to work or not based off of that, it's like not a good portion of things to be judging based off of that. But there can be a desire to do things in that way. Maybe also too, you're working with the part of yourself that kind of has a desire to do things in that way, to kind of like bypass and get into having something locked down and being committed, not even knowing if that's really going to work and if that's in alignment for you. Because it may be like, I just immediately want to connect and I want to be connected and I want to feel connected before you even know what exactly it is that you're connecting with and connecting to. And it can be because you feel really hungry for it. Like we have Devil connecting with Knight of Cups. This can be like, I really want to make these moves. I really want to connect. I really want to feel that like level of intimacy even, but without properly building in that direction. This feels like having one moment and then all of a sudden wanting to go all in, where it's like, this feels actually like it's taking some time for that to happen. And this will come from a place of being like, well, if I don't do this now, is it going to slip through my fingers? Am I going to lose it? And it's like this panic. And like, is that how you want to be motivated to move through this? Or do you want to kind of tune to a different station and move through it in that way? Because I think what this is doing is it's making you more aware of places where you feel like, I'm going to lose out, I'm going to miss out, I'm going to have to like do this within the energy, all in like a panic, rather than feeling settled and like you're taking your time to do things properly. And this isn't a judgment, it's nothing like that. This is like, you're in a situation that brings this part of you up and out, so you can get a closer look at it and be like, why do I do that? Where does that come from? Like, what motivates that? So it can give you time to really look at that part of yourself and be like, what are you here for? Why are you showing up right now? Because it's something that's out of order. It's something that's out of balance within you. And this comes from a place of, when we have the Devil there, it comes from a place of us not seeing things clearly. And ultimately it comes from a place of where we have separated in some way from ourselves. So this can also be something that's coming up. And that means that this is going to be where you have some deep-seated fear. But this energy can be tricky because it's like, how is me wanting to connect with a situation quickly motivated by fear? That's what we have to get down to. Where would that be coming from? Because it's not ultimately about just wanting to connect. This is like, before I know what I'm connecting to, I want to make that connection. Because the issue isn't about wanting to connect, it's understanding that there's something else that's going on here, but you have to go deeper into this in order to better understand it. Because if values are important, we understand our values to be important, and you possibly sign on for something that's not aligned with your values, where would that be coming from? Why are we choosing things that are not reflective of our values and not honoring that, all because we're seeking something externally? Feeling like we need to be validated through something externally, and we give our power away. So this can be a time when there's like a reclamation of some sort having to do with your values, and feeling like, I don't know, this can even be an acknowledgement that you can have what you want and you can also honor your values too, because there will be situations that you want that are reflective of your values. You don't have to feel like you can only pick one or the other. Like you only get love or you only get something that aligns with your values and then you don't really care about it. This is like, you can get something that you want. You can have the connection that you want. You can be building towards something that you want. You can be moving around within something that you want. And it can also be compatible with your values. But what that means is that you're going to have to confront the things that you do that oppose your values and oppose what's important to you. Yeah, I'm definitely seeing something. Devil, Six of Pentacles, Ace of Pentacles, all going towards the Hierophant feels like you have something that is showing up that may be really tempting, because it may very much on the surface at least appear like something that you want, but this can conflict with your values. When we have Hierophant, it can be something like even ethically, morally, that this opposes for you, conflicts with for you. But the thing with the Devil too is that it can be an energy that convinces us like this is the only way that we're going to get what we want. And again, there's a need to investigate this further. The thing as well with this is that it can have you really checking in and asking yourself, because this feels like something that's already in motion. Like things have already been being done here. You want to ask yourself, is this thing conflicting with what I'm giving importance to? And I need to rethink those things and get more deeply into my values to understand what they really are? Or does this thing just straight up conflict with non-negotiable values that I have, and I need to confront this and work it out rather than ignore it and just have this kind of like battle be going on within me? Because there's a need here to take things slowly for some reason. Things have to go slowly, but there can be this part of you again that's coming up that's like, you feel so magnetized to something here that you may want to go like tumbling all the way into something here. And it feels like it's really important to pay attention to kind of the bigger picture of what's going on. Because this feels like if you're asleep through this process, you're going to do a bunch of stuff. And then you're going to have a moment that breaks you out of it. And you can be like, I was asleep during that. There will be this feeling there, and it will feel unsettling because it's almost like, it feels a little bit like being possessed within the energy. That can be the feeling because something's so enticing, because something feels so magnetizing, because it speaks to a core wound that we have of some sort. And we can confuse that for like fate or destiny. When really, if we take a closer look, we'll see why it's so enticing to us. Because when you take a closer look, you're going to see that there's something going on behind it. Meaning, it's like there's the core of something and then there's the mask that it has on. And you can think that you're like falling for the face of it, which is actually the mask, not realizing that the real reason you're attracted to it is like what's actually behind there. But until we investigate further, we don't realize that there's something behind there, and that's the thing that's kind of sirening you through this. And that's why it's really important to dig deeper and to pull that back and say, just so you can get more information, why are you so magnetized by this? Like, what is it promising to you? What do you feel like it's going to fulfill within you that is calling you to go in that direction? But the devil energy, we can get into kind of a trance with the energy. So we have to like keep ourselves awake. Otherwise, you're going to like fall into basically the tar pit of this. And then Saturn is going to be like, well, I have a lesson for you. And it can be something that like you don't have to experience that. If we can understand what's going on in this situation, you don't have to get to the point where things feel like they become very out of control. But there's going to be a need for honest self-reflection for a part of you that you may not like to check that part of yourself, because it feels so good in like the worst way. It really can, until we hit rock bottom, and then it doesn't feel so good anymore. But it's like having the best time on the way down. That can really be the feeling of it, because it's kind of like a free fall within the energy, only to inevitably hit that rock bottom. So it can feel painful to address this part of ourselves, but at the same time, like, that's true liberation. Because nothing that's really in alignment is going to have such a severe hold on you that it has you doing things that you'll look back and be like, that was really out of character. So until these things are undressed, it really can have that grip. And there is a reason to why tempering this energy is so important right now. Because this is like the line between you getting out of control versus you seeing this part of yourself that's being activated through this current experience that you're having and using it as a means for deeper self-revelation and using it as a catalyst for you to reclaim your energy. So you can use it in a spiritually motivated way, or you can use it as a means of like obliterating yourself and like disintegrating within the energy. Where you feel like it's like this is the line between you becoming more self-aware and feeling like you have come even closer into union with yourself versus ignoring things and separating further from ourselves, doing some type of self-abandonment to try to connect with something externally when really we are looking for that deeper connection with ourselves. And those are basically the two options that you have. And that's why it feels like it's important for you to slow down and check this out and see, because the path is going to split for you. And you can either use this as a catalyst for further self-realization or further self-abandonment. And that's really the choice. That's where the road splits for you moving through this. And right now can be the moment when you ask yourself, which path are you choosing? Because it is a choice now at this point. There's an awareness here. And this will not be the first time you're feeling this. This will just feel like a confirmation of what you've been feeling all along. Because I'm seeing again, something feels like it conflicts with it can be like commitment, responsibilities, values, what you believe is right and wrong, even something like that. Which you will have been feeling, but there could have been something else that felt like would have you almost like forgetting that those things are important. That's what this influence will do. It will again have you like lose yourself to something, and then you get that moment where you check in and you're like, how could I have done that? And it doesn't have to go in that direction. But this means that you're going to have to take a look at something where it's like the immediate pleasure of instant gratification versus the more challenging spiritual path here of reclaiming your energy. So it like doesn't always feel that great, but we have the world on the bottom of the deck. That's literally the point of this. This is a Saturn cycle that you're in. So yeah, I feel like that's all the important information. Sagittarius, Taurus, Capricorn. I'm seeing here. I'm also hearing Scorpio, and I'm seeing Saturn on the bottom of the deck. All right, my friends, we are going to leave the reading here. I would like to thank everyone for connecting. Thank you for tuning in. I'm sending everybody love, and I hope to catch you guys next time.